In 2024, the Vikings were just coming out of their Kirk Cousins era. The Vikings had been good, but not good enough. The Vikings were a team that seemed to make the playoffs every other season, but they were never true contenders. The Vikings were stuck in the worst place an NFL team can be. Too good to rebuild, too flawed to win it all. In 2023, everything they had built totally collapsed. Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles, and the Vikings had to bounce around horrible backup quarterbacks for the rest of the year. In the offseason, they drafted the national championship winning quarterback J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. And to be his backup that year, they picked up Sam Darnold from the 49ers. The plan was to build a new era around J.J. McCarthy, but what actually happened was crazy. Sam Darnold ended up with the starting job and went off, playing the best football he's ever played, putting up the best statistical year of his career. The Vikings went 14-3 and made the playoffs, almost edging out the number 1 seed from the Detroit Lions. But they didn't have a fairy tale ending, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to the Rams. With their young quarterback coming back from injury next season, and Sam Darnold being able to command more money than ever before, the Vikings decided to let him move on, and the rest is history. Everyone is completely upset about the Vikings' decision, saying that they threw away a franchise quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But is that really what happened? Did the Vikings make an incredible error? Or is Shannon Sharpe misleading you, and did the Vikings make the right decision? Coming out of high school in California, Sam Darnold was not a top quarterback in the country. He was only a 3-star athlete, and USC was the only school to give him a major quarterback offer. This may seem crazy now, but in high school, Sam Darnold was better known as a basketball player. USC recruited him as a quarterback because of his athletic upside and not because of his polished quarterback play. There were other colleges that gave him offers to play linebacker and tight end. In 2015, Sam Darnold arrived at USC and redshirted his freshman year. But then in 2016, everything changed. He started the year as the 3rd-string quarterback on the depth chart, and by week 4, he was the starter, bringing the team to a 10-3 record and winning the Rose Bowl. The crazy part is that USC was doing horrible before Darnold took over. They were 1-3. Darnold came in week 4 and won 9 straight games to bring them to 10-3. He was poised and he was consistent, throwing for a touchdown in every single game and not losing once. Even with a rockier junior season, Darnold was still seen as a player who had an incredibly high ceiling and was drafted by the Jets in 2018 with the 3rd overall pick. He was just 20 years old, which made him the youngest Week 1 starting QB since the AFL-NFL merger. His rookie debut started with chaos, but ended with brilliance. His first NFL pass was a touchdown to the other team. The worst possible start a quarterback could ever have. But then he recovered, threw for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Jets won. He became the youngest quarterback ever to throw for 2 touchdowns in their NFL debut. The rest of his rookie season actually showed some promise. He threw for 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions, with a 77.6 passer rating, ending about middle of the pack throughout the entire NFL. But what was the most promising is from weeks 14 to 17, he threw 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, had a 99 passer rating, and the Jets finished 4-0. But then came a really important game in his career, the Seeing Ghosts game. In 2019 versus the Patriots on Monday Night Football, he threw for 4 interceptions and had a fumble, and said on mic, "I'm seeing ghosts." This moment became symbolic of his career. It showed how overwhelmed he was by NFL defenses, and it was not a good look for Jets fans. The truth is that while Darnold was not ready to be a great NFL quarterback just yet, the Jets completely failed him. His supporting cast was terrible. The 2019 Jets offensive rankings were 31st in scoring, 31st in offensive line ranking, and 32nd in wide receiver separation. Furthermore, his coach Adam Gase was widely considered one of the worst offensive coaches in the entire league. But one really important stat about Sam Darnold that I forgot to mention in his college story is his turnover problem. That has continued to be a problem and is one of the most important things to consider when considering Sam Darnold's career. Even in his 2017 USC campaign, he threw for 13 interceptions and lost 9 fumbles. In 10 consecutive starts at USC, he had 10 fumbles. That's an insane rate. This would become a defining flaw in his career, and a big reason why he ended up on the Carolina Panthers for the 2021 and 2022 seasons. He still couldn't find his rhythm in Carolina and continued to bounce around teams, going to the 49ers until he finally ended up on the Minnesota Vikings for the 2024 season, and that is when everything changed. When Sam Darnold got to the Vikings, he wasn't even supposed to be the starting quarterback. He was supposed to be the backup to J.J. McCarthy, but then J.J. McCarthy got hurt. On August 10th, 2024, McCarthy suffered a torn meniscus in his right knee during a preseason game. He underwent surgery on August 14th, but the surgery required a full repair, not just a trim. He would miss the entire 2024 NFL season. Sam Darnold went from a measly $10 million one-year contract to being the starter of the Minnesota Vikings. And he made the Vikings GM look like an absolute genius, starting all 17 games, having a 66 completion percentage, throwing for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and having a 102.5 passer rating. But he wasn't just a good quarterback, he was an explosive quarterback, averaging 7.9 yards per attempt and completing 62 passes of 20-plus yards. He was among the league leaders in explosive passing. But most importantly, the Vikings almost had the number 1 seed and finished with a 14-3 record, making the playoffs. But in that playoff game against the LA Rams, Sam Darnold had 2 turnovers. He had an interception and he fumbled. His fumble turned into a 57-yard touchdown for the Rams defense. With a frustrating playoff loss to end the season, and Sam Darnold being able to command millions of dollars in the coming offseason, the Vikings decided to stick with J.J. McCarthy as their plan had been when they drafted him, and to let Sam Darnold leave and join the Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold followed up his year with the Vikings with another good year with the Seahawks, throwing for 4,000 yards and averaging 8.5 yards per completion. And I think just about every NFL fan knows how his season ended. In Super Bowl 60, Sam Darnold threw 38 times, completing 19 of his passes for 202 yards and a touchdown, earning him his first Super Bowl ring. The Seahawks defeated the Patriots 29-13. Now, most people look at this turnaround in Sam Darnold's career, and they look at the Vikings, and they say, what a stupid decision letting him go just when he turned around. Look at him. He just won a Super Bowl. He has more Super Bowls now than your entire franchise. What were you doing? But I am here to tell you that all of those people are dead wrong, in that the Vikings did make the right decision getting rid of Sam Darnold. The truth is, the Seahawks did not win the Super Bowl because of Sam Darnold. They won the Super Bowl because they had an incredible defense, the number 1 defense in the league. And if you look on my video on why some teams always make the Super Bowl, we clearly show that defenses are the biggest reason why teams win the Super Bowl. However, of course, that is not a spoiler for the video because that doesn't answer the question of the video. But if you're interested in that video, you should go watch it. For now, let's continue to talk about Sam Darnold. The Vikings didn't give up a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady that wills their team to the Super Bowl. They gave up a good quarterback who, when put on an amazing team, makes it so they win the Super Bowl. But he did not win them the Super Bowl. He didn't even win Super Bowl MVP. Their running back did. If you asked a Vikings fan, why did you guys give up a Pro Bowl, 4,000-yard, 30-touchdown quarterback? They would probably tell you, well, because he was old. And you'd say, Sam Darnold isn't that old. And they go, oh, Sam Darnold? I thought you were talking about Kirk Cousins. The fact of the matter is, Sam Darnold did nothing for the Vikings organization that Kirk Cousins didn't already do. And the Vikings realized already that a Kirk Cousins was not going to be able to be their franchise quarterback. If the Vikings kept Kirk Cousins, or if the Vikings kept Sam Darnold, they would be in the same position every other year, losing in the first round or losing in the second round. The best case scenario the Vikings would have with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold is to get an incredible team around them, a #1 defense, amazing receiving core, great offensive line, great running back, great coaching staff, and hopefully go to one Super Bowl and hopefully win that one Super Bowl. But the truth is, you can't keep that team around for more than 1 year. You will never go to another Super Bowl with that quarterback. The Vikings want to do what the Patriots did with Brady, what the Chiefs did with Mahomes, what the Broncos did with Elway, and what the 49ers did with Joe Montana. Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins do not fall under that list, and that is why the Vikings made the right decision in letting Sam Darnold leave. Thank you all for watching this video. As always, I will be responding to every comment that starts with, "Hey Indy." Feel free to watch my other videos, and I'll see you next time.